if it was any other aircraft, I wouldn't be here today. We hit so hard, but it was such a crash-worthy aircraft. Had a honeycombed frame on it. And then plus the oleo struts, which were like shock absorbers. So it was very crash-worthy aircraft. So it was a wonderful aircraft to fly. I always had that ambition to want to go back in life. Well, I used to play goalie. If I tried to do the splits now, I'd end up in intensive care. But I would like to fly. I would like to fly a helicopter one more time. But God help the world that's anywhere within 5 miles. But still got my helmet and flight suit. But. And then after that, the 25th went home. But I didn't have enough time to be considered a tour. Excuse me. So I went up to the 101st Airborne, or as we affectionately called it, the puking buzzard. But so I was with 3 of the Army's elite divisions, the 1st, 25th, and the 101st. And I went up to the 101st, and I was assigned to fly Cobras, which is a gunship. It's a 2-man gunship. And I flew them for all of 2 weeks. And because, believe it or not, let's see, what was I, 23? Because of my seniority as a captain, I was sent to an assault helicopter company in the same battalion, and I ended up flying what they call the Huey, or the UH-1. And that was where you flew air assault, resupply, medevac, stuff like that. And it was called the Lancers. B Company, the 158th, and then I was with that unit when we flew in the Laos invasion.
Can we talk a little bit about that? That's Lamson 719.
Lamson 719, yeah, 719.
Okay. And so, our assault or our invasion of Cambodia failed, but this was one that
well, this was an invasion of Laos by the South Vietnamese, transported by the Americans.
Right, that's what was so interesting.
It was, it was a debacle. There's no other way of putting it. I actually saw senior officers refuse to fly, just refuse to fly, which to me was unforgivable. You take an oath, you don't dictate policy. You are, a person in the military is actually, like it or not, you're a tool of foreign policy. And, it's like these people, I don't agree with what's going on in Iraq, but I'll support the troops to the death. And, and I see some of these people that don't want to go. Tough, But anyway, getting back to that.
Let's get back to
that. That was a brutal situation because obviously, where it was at, they were staging out of Khe Sanh, and then you'd pick up the troops and fly into Laos, and you were flying 30-second separation. They flat out told you if you went down, we weren't going to get you out. So it was not a good thing. And we had a kid, I'll never forget it. He got to us about 7 o'clock at night, which this time of year is dark, and loaded him up with a flight suit and helmet and everything. I was at a place called Camp Evans, which was the northernmost base of the 101st. And we flew to Khe Sanh, and we oriented him to the UH-1 on the way to Khe Sanh, picked up troops, headed to Laos, he got knocked down. And nobody even knew who he was. We had his name in that, but that's how quick it was. And then you were supposed to fly 35 hours a month, and then you were not supposed to fly anymore. Well, then you get another waiver, and then another waiver, and some guys had 70, 80 hours, which at that level, you're an accident waiting to happen.
Waiting to happen.
Definitely waiting to happen. But the Laos invasion was bad. Went in a couple times, and guy that was in front of me was on the cover of Newsweek, because we went in to pick up wounded at an ARVN base, and they just threw the wounded down and jumped on the ship and hung them from the skids. And he made the cover of Newsweek because his aircraft was coming in and they were hanging on the skids. But no, it was, let's put it this way, it wasn't a well-planned situation, kind of like our Congress today, if I can say that. But no, and then in the 101st they also flew what they called CCN, this was my favorite mission. Well, there was one other one. It was called Nighthawk, and that was a UH-1 where only aircraft commanders could fly because it was at night and it was up on the North Vietnamese border. And what it consisted of is you had a Huey, a UH-1, with a big xenon searchlight and a minigun. And you'd get scrambled. You had to sleep by aircraft because you had to be up in the air immediately. And flying in Vietnam at night, even though it was difficult because there was no horizon, because there was no lights.
That's right.
But the air was calm. I mean, it was really nice. So, and that was one mission I liked doing. The other one was CCN. These were special ops people, and this amazed me. And I'm sure that, of course, the people we have in Washington right now will probably come shoot me, but at that time, believe it or not, this was blonde, or light blonde, and instead of red, these eyes were blue, and there was a lot less of me. Let's put it that way. We had to be sterile. No dog tags, no U.S. Army name tags, patches, anything. We flew UH-1s that had no serial numbers on it. All the serial numbers on the radios and the avionics and everything were taken off. And then we would go pick up these people that, for all practical purposes, we don't know if they were North Vietnamese impersonators or real. And it was called, well, there's the patch right there, CCN. And the insanity of it is, now here we are in the northernmost portion of South Vietnam. What country, and my co-pilot asked me this one day, he said, what, and he was black, and he goes, what the hell country do they think we're from? We're flying American aircraft with American uniforms on. He says, and I'm as black as the ace of spades. And he says, if you sure as hell don't look Vietnamese, where do they think we're from?
Yeah.
I don't know who we were deceiving. Maybe somebody, I don't know.
Maybe somebody's right.
And then I got to share one funny story with you. On a mission to Laos, one of the days we were flying there, my co-pilot that day, he was later, I think he was, well, no, he's still alive, was a Cajun. And we were flying to the staging area in Quezon. And he said, sir, would you take the aircraft? I was in the left seat as aircraft commander, he's in the right seat. You take the aircraft, I'm gonna read my mail. I said, sure, I got it. And he goes, I heard him mumbling, but I mean, he wasn't on the intercom. He's Cajun, and evidently there was some stipulation, I don't know if they still do it back then, but he was a joint citizen of France and the United States, and he got his draft final warning because he had failed to show up for his draft with the French government. And I was like, what? And that was the day, in fact, you heard the audio, that audio that I found on the internet, that was that day. He was my co-pilot that day. Okay,
well, we're going to play that at the very, very end of the program. So now we'll know what we're looking for.
Yeah, but he was, that was the day he found out he had missed 2 call-ups from the French government. And they were nasty about it, so like that. And he said, what do I do? And I said, I don't know, maybe they'll send you to Vietnam if you're lucky. No, I enjoyed the flying aspect of it. I loved flying. And I came home in, let's see, July of 71.
71,
And the Army sent me to Fort Benning, Georgia. And I went to what they called the Infantry Officers Advance Course. And the Army officers, you have like your college, graduate school, PhD. College is Officers Candidate School. Master's is Infantry Officers Advance Course, and then PhD is the War College. And the advanced course was like 9.5, 10 months, 8 hours a day of tactics, nuclear weapons, all kinds of stuff. And in addition to that, I had taken a couple of CLEP exams, but I think only 2. I started going to college full-time, night school, so. And which, you had Vietnam and never being home and trying to get a degree and everything.
And you had a family.
Pretty much ends your, Because I remember going to Vietnam the second time. It was hard to leave your wife, but it's hard to leave your child. Because right away you think,